here's SpongeBob sneezing all over the kitchen. And here's the most diabolical Krabby Patty served under the sea.
Is this how you get your sick kicks?
What? It's just an ordinary Krabby. Oh my goodness!
It's safe to say that the Krusty Krab certainly isn't ship-shape as far as food safety goes, but just how out of hand have things gotten? Well, today I'm going to be going through and looking at all the times the Krusty Krab would be on the receiving end of FDA violations, ranking them from Class 3 to Class 1, the former scoring 1 point and the latter scoring 3, so let's see if the Krusty Krab scores enough to be shut down for good. Starting with the time SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs pretty much killed the health inspector. Now obviously the Krusty Krab isn't the safest place for health inspector at the best of times, but that gets taken to a whole new level in the episode Nasty Patty, when one shows up and surprises the Krusty crew.
Change your underwear! The health inspector's here! We've got to do everything in our power to make sure he passes the Krusty Krab.
As you heard, Krabs is pretty worried about the place being shut down, so he sends SpongeBob out to pamper the health inspector. You know, give him that patented spongy sweet talk.
What can I get for you, handsome?
We're doomed!
Real smooth, SpongeBob. Well, it seems to work, to be fair to him, as the inspector orders one of everything on the menu, and the pair don't hold back in serving him food.
Try the crunchy kelp dog.
The buttered barnacles are a touch of heaven.
Powdered driftwood is exquisite. Diet red top.
Them fried
Please, gentlemen!
Whoa, hold the phone. Did Mr. Krabs just serve the health inspector nails? That's a Class 1 violation already, and he just walked through the frickin' door. Despite his spiky snack, the health inspector goes on to eat what the crew gave him, and it looks like they're in the clear. They just need to give him one last Krabby Patty, but before they do, some breaking news hits.
Be on the lookout for a man passing off as a health inspector in order to obtain free food. That's all for now.
Well, if there's one surefire way to make Mr. Krabs angry, it's taking his stuff for free. The boys obviously think that this health inspector is the freeloader on the news, so with one Krabby Patty left to give him, they decide they're gonna rustle up the most diabolical patty of all time.
Oh, hold on! Got a jar of toenail clippings in my office!
Oops, dropped it in the toilet.
Fish it out, I'll dry it with me gym socks!
But what does a patty that's been dipped in toilet water, covered in toenail clippings, and wrapped in a gym sock look like?
Why, that's the most diabolical Krabby Patty ever spawned!
I call it the Nasty Patty.
Oh, sweet, merciful Neptune. Concocting a patty with bodily waste would 100% be another Class 1 violation, but would cost Krabs easily over double in fines. Especially as that sort of stuff can be considered assault. As we know, though, the health inspector doesn't actually eat the Nasty Patty.
Look at him choke!
Well, that fly would still be a violation, granted on the lower end and most likely no monetary fine, but the Krusty crew better keep their insect population to 0. Anyway, after the fly, Krabs and SpongeBob think that they've killed the health inspector, and guess what? He's not fake.
We interrupt your laughter at other people's expense to bring you this news flash. If a health inspector comes to your restaurant and he's not this guy, he's real.
And what's worse, they think they've killed him. So what do? Call the police? An ambulance, mayhaps? No, they take his body to the graveyard to bury.
Something ain't right.
What do you mean, Mr. Krabs?
His head's sticking out!
Thought he might need some air.
They don't need air where he's going.
But their secret isn't safe for long. Bikini Bottom gets hit with a shower and the rain uncovers his body just in time for the police to pull up.
Can I lose my cool now?
Put him in the trunk. I'll keep them cops busy.
Get away!
They get a ride back to the Krusty Krab, but their guilt is eating them alive, and when the cops ask for some ice that's in the freezer where the health inspector's body is, they crack.
Okay, I confess. SpongeBob killed him.
You can't pin this whole rap on me.
He would have killed me too if you hadn't come along.
It's all Mr. Krabs' idea.
Obviously, they haven't killed him. He just took one nasty bump to the head, and he's finally come back to the land of the living.
Take that, zombie!
Die, zombie!
Good police work, Officer Nancy.
Make that 3 nasty bumps on the head.
And at the risk of being hit again, I present you with this.
Whoa, you passed his inspection, not this one. I found 3 violations in that episode, and 2 of them could have the Krusty Krab closed down for good. Plus, outside of the potential legal costs from the health inspector, Krabs would be fined $299,000 by the FDA for feeding his customers nails, both metal and toe, and of course allowing flies into his establishment. It's not always the most obvious stuff like spoiled food or trash that gets you in hot water with the FDA. When you got SpongeBob working for you, anything can happen. Like him randomly finding a ridiculous wig.
Hi, Patrick. How do you like my new look?
I'll save you!
If the wig by itself wasn't bad enough, Sponge decides he's gonna wear it for work without a hairnet.
Order up, Squidward!
This would usually be a Class 3 violation, but it's elevated by the fact that there's just so much hair, and that it's likely not even human, meaning fake, meaning probably toxic. Oh, also the wig was found in the dump if you need any more evidence. Krabs gives him a hairnet, but the damage is already done. A few hairs isn't that bad in the grand scheme of things, especially compared to the time SpongeBob went on vacation and Patrick took over his job.
Wow! It scratches backs, too!
That's 100% not being cleaned, is it? So that's a Class 3 violation for improperly sanitized cooking utensils. Sorry to get all fancy on you, but if it's a job worth doing, don't worry though. Pat has some more pretty disgusting stuff up his sleeve for us. Well, if he wore sleeves.
Hey, Pat! It's time for your lunch.
Yeah, that'll get you a Class 2 violation, alright. In case you wanted to know the difference between the classes, Class 3 is stuff that won't directly harm you. Class 2 is when you can become ill due to the preparation of food, and Class 1 is making a large number of people ill or risking their death. As bad as this is, no one's gonna die from having a bit of starfish skin on their burger. Then you got the time SpongeBob first stepped foot into the Krusty Krab. That's something else entirely.
There it is, the finest eating establishment ever established for eating. The Krusty Krab, home of the Krabby Patty.
If you aren't up to speed with Sponge's story, basically this is him applying to be a part of the Krusty Crew, but when he goes in and tries to sell himself to Mr. K, Squidward talks him out of giving him a job.
Mr. Krabs, please, I'll prove I'm fry cook material. Ask Squidward, he'll vouch for me.
No.
So to basically give the little guy no chance of getting the work and to let him down easy, Krabs gives him the impossible task of finding the world's most insane spatula.
Hydrodynamic spatula with, port and starboard attachments and, turbo drive. And don't come back till you get one.
While SpongeBob is away trying to find a spatula with turbo drive, the Krusty Krab is targeted by a bunch of anchovies.
Anchovies.
Why?
Anchovies!
If only there were a seriously skilled sponge with a special spatula that could serve up some food for these hungry customers.
Someone order a spatula! That's right, one hydrodynamic spatula with port and starboard attachment. Let's not forget the turbo drive.
And it's not long before he's in the kitchen doing what he does best. Although, let's just say his practices aren't the cleanest. Okay, kinda undersold that, didn't I? That's a pretty serious violation, especially when he's feeding hundreds of fish. Well, hey, at least it's not as bad as the time Mr. Krabs forced SpongeBob to serve a rancid patty, which he finds under the grill.
Huh? It's a Krabby Patty. Ugh, it's cold and hard. This could have rolled under there years ago.
So they haven't cleaned under the grill in years? Let's chalk that up to another Class 3 violation right there. But like I say, Krabs forces Sponge to cook and serve this delight.
Order up, Squidward.
All right. SpongeBob, could I get one with less fog?
See, that could 100% kill someone. Luckily, it doesn't get served to a customer, though. Instead, to prove it's still good, Krabs takes a bite for himself.
Oh, look, an ambulance. Now then.
That's what you could be doing to your customers, Mr. K. So after this spree of 6 pretty serious violations, Krabs will be on the receiving end of $321,800 worth of fines to boot. Surely it's cheaper and safer just to shop at the bargain mart and cook your own stuff. When you live in a pineapple under the sea, you don't really have to worry about pests like rats, mice, or cockroaches, but being underwater does come with its own little pocket of pests, namely urchins. So let's look at the time when one of those pesky pests managed to find its way into the Krusty Krab, or to be more specific, under SpongeBob's grill. So you're telling me SpongeBob has had a decomposing head under his grill this entire time? Which, if you didn't know, would be right at the upper end of FDA's violation scales. You know, a corpse being under where the food is cooked is pretty not good. Well, we haven't even gotten to the urchin yet.
Aha! Gotcha! Ah! An urchin!
I'm trying to think of the best way to compare a sea urchin to pests we all know. I guess it's basically like a rat crossed with a hornet. Because in those spikes, there's some pretty serious venom. Granted, it's not as serious as having a head under your grill, but this would shut the Krusty Krab down for a day or two, as long as it doesn't get out anyway. Why do I suddenly have a really bad feeling?
This is terrible! You should never put that much ketchup on a Krabby Patty.
Oh, good heavens. The prickly little devil is hopping all over the dining room, and as you just saw, it has no problem getting up close and personal with the people.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
There's one silver lining in all this. At least people haven't realized there's an urchin around them. All the customers race out of the restaurant, leaving Krabs without a dime, so he calls on someone he knows who's as small as an urchin, Plankton. He dressed him up as a lady urchin to try and draw the critter into a trap, but instead, Plankton uncovers the mother lode.
What kind of an urchin do you think I am? What could be worse than being romantically pursued by a rabid sea urchin? 100 urchins?
Boy, oh boy, 101 sea urchins. Now that's a remake Disney needs to get to work on. Meanwhile, remake? When was the first movie? Meanwhile, Mr. Krabs and the Krusty Crew will be paying off a debt fine of around $2,000 per urchin, as there was a similar case in the real world that charged the restaurant $2,000 per rat found. You got the earlier fines as well, stuff I didn't take into account at the dining room floor, so that's 5 Class 1 violations, which comes to fines that come out to a grand total of $502,030. Now that's gotta sting. The Krusty Krab is known for a lot of things, but it's not really known for being greasy. That's because underneath the restaurant sits a gigantic grease trap. And it turns out it hasn't been emptied in years.
Oh, what is it?
That, me boy, is a grease trap.
Kinda looks like nobody's cleaned out the trap in a while.
No, SpongeBob, you're right.
That is disgusting. Can you imagine the smell of years worth of grease festering under the floorboards? The sheer amount of pests that can attract too. Not to mention it's a big fire hazard. So the boys lit up a tanker and dumped the grease outside of the chum bucket.
All right, let's get out of here.
The new influx of grease, though, is exactly what the chum bucket was missing, and suddenly becomes the most successful restaurant in Bikini Bottom.
Excuse me, coming through. What the? Try Plankton's new delicious chummy patties, now with edible flavor.
So to fight back, Krabs decides if it's more grease he needs, it's more grease he'll get. So he begins soaking all of his food in grease. I mean, flavor.
One for the patty itself, and the second just for the grease. Then slather the grease from the second patty onto the first one, and voila! It's a deluxe-y Krabby Patty with extra flavor.
But like the pigs we are, the customers lap up the grease-soaked goods and jump ship from the chum bucket back to the Krusty K.
These are delicious!
Right! I can't imagine what makes them taste so good.
While grease in food alone isn't worthy of a violation, if so, everyone would be shut down. This level of grease sure is. It'd be classified as food adulteration, which is basically making food unsafe for consumption. This much grease all over the place is not only bad for customer health, it's also, again, a serious fire hazard. And yes, there can be fires underwater. Plankton once again battles back with more grease, causing Krabs to go all out, using more grease than a high school bully to get his customers back. I mean, he is literally selling pure grease.
Are you going to eat that?
It was supposed to be going to table 3.
8 customers become seriously ill from chowing down on Krabs' grease soup, which upgrades the violation to a Class 1, and with it, some hefty fines. And just when you thought all hope was lost, the Bikini Bottom Health Department shows up to put Krabs and Plankton in their places.
You'll be happy to know I'll be ordering both your restaurants to be closed down until the 2 of you slime balls can clean up your act. Good day.
SpongeBob manages to soak up all the cold, slimy grease, and the Krusty Krab is able to start serving food again, but don't get too excited, Mr. K. I will not be letting you off that easily. By my count, you committed 3 super serious violations here that managed to rack up over $1,063,900 in fines. That's what Krabs gets for being hopelessly devoted to the greaster.
Well, we're only halfway through and it ain't looking good for the Krusty Krab. We've already had 19 pretty serious violations for a halftime FDA score of 46. Remember, 3 is enough to have the place shut down. Then you've got the $2,335,180 worth of fines the place has racked up, and we've barely even scratched this crusty surface.
Now, we all know that SpongeBob is a fun guy, but he's much more fungus in the episode Fungus Among Us. Basically, Gary isn't eating his snail food, and instead turns to eat some horrible mold on SpongeBob's floor. Relatable.
Gary, shame on you! I realize you're a bottom feeder, but have some manners! You know you're not supposed to eat goop off the ground!
But that ain't your ordinary ground goop, SpongeBob. This is the ick, and it's super contagious.
Hi, SpongeBob.
Something wrong, Patrick?
SpongeBob, what is that?
What's what?
This!
Instead of going to the doctors, though, or calling in sick at work, at the very least, SpongeBob goes to town on scratching his mysterious rash and heads to the Krusty Krab as usual.
Don't worry, SpongeBob. Everyone gets itchy, swollen skin rash now and then. Just don't scratch it and it'll go away. Eventually.
Flicking this goo in the kitchen where food is made is beyond disgusting, especially as the stuff is spreading like wildfire. Luckily, the food hasn't been impacted yet, anyway, so this would still be seen as a slap on the wrist, but it's about to get much worse. Okay, having this much contaminant literally on your employee would ramp things up, but luckily, before any food can be spoiled, Squidward steps in and sees SpongeBob in his itchy, moldy mess.
That's no blemish!
Help me!
Oh, I'll help you, all right! SWAT team, we'll be right over.
With the sickly sponge being taken away to get all the treatment he needs, Squidward looks like he saved the day, but has he?
What's going on, Squidward?
At least SpongeBob knew about his ick, though. Squidward doesn't, and he unknowingly starts infecting customers.
Here's a change, sir.
Oh, why, thank you very much, young man.
Infecting and or making someone ill carries a pretty hefty fine as well as a Class 2 violation, and we know what this ick is like. It won't be long for the entire restaurant to have it. While all that's happening though, SpongeBob has been put under quarantine at his home. Is that really serious? The guy looks like he's on life support. Well, in short, no, it can't be that serious because Patrick swings by the quarantined pineapple and frees SpongeBob from his system. Still keeping him in his bubble though, because even Patrick isn't that stupid.
The fate of Bikini Bottom rests in your hands. Patrick, you're a genius! And this one's mobile. Now I can go back to work.
Speaking of work, with SpongeBob gone, Mr. Krabs needs all the help he can get in the kitchen, so he asks Squidward if he'll give him a hand with a couple orders.
Help me fit these patties. We've got burning stomachs out there.
No.
Would it be too much trouble to ask his high and mightiness to take these patties out to the customers?
Oh, way to go, Squiddy. Technically, the food here hasn't left the kitchen yet, and because it's not putting anyone directly at risk, the fine would be a little more lenient. That being said, though, we all know where this is heading.
Lunch is served. Eat up, kids.
So we charge the Krusty Krab $122,000 for infecting one patient. It's only fair if we multiply that by every fish we see given the ick in this scene, which in total is 8. Plus, we're gonna have to upgrade this to a Class 1 violation as this outbreak is pretty unprecedented. With everyone literally covered in the ick, the last thing the restaurant needs is SpongeBob showing up.
Sorry I'm late, Mr. Krabs. SpongeBob SquarePants. It's Returning for duty, sir.
Someone put him out of his misery. The angry and infected mob attacks SpongeBob, bursting his bubble, but in doing so, they attract a familiar bottom feeder to clean up his owner's mess. Well, at least someone made the Krusty crew clean up their act, am I right? Okay. That ick outbreak will set the joint back at least $1,195,500. Spread out over 4 different violations. Makes you think how bad must the chum bucket be if this is the most popular spot in town. Besides the health inspector, there's another type of customer Mr. Krabs and the Krusty crew do not want darkening their doorsteps, a food critic. And in the Krusty Sponge, that fear becomes a reality as Gene Scallop drops by to sample their food.
We're doomed!
He's a man of many words, as you can tell. Well, one bite is all he needs to form a report of the restaurant, and it's pretty damning.
Barbara, once I stuck my beak through that door, my appetite flew south for the winter. I'm not kidding when I say this restaurant smells like the rear end of a goat.
However bad the smell was in the store, Gene did take a shine to a certain sponge.
However, at the end of my visit, I chowed down on a meal that titillated my taste buds and gratified my gullet. That sponge behind the grill is no square when it comes to cooking. If Krabs really wanted to soak up the dough, he'd sponge it up. He'd sponge it out. He'd over-sponge it. You can never have too much sponge.
So Krabs decides to take Gene up on this idea, fully kitting out the restaurant to be totally SpongeBob themed.
Wow.
Okay, a little lower. Lower! That's perfect!
Good morning, sir. What's with the new sign?
Oh, just making a few cosmetic changes.
Oh.
He gets Squidward to wear a SpongeBob costume and puts him in the kitchen while SpongeBob entertains the customers. He's rebranded to the Krusty Sponge, so what do they need? Spongy patties.
Oh, you're gonna love this. Spongy patties!
Spongy patties.
I want you to start using them instead of the other ones.
Where'd you get them?
They were just the boxes of patties we didn't have room for in the freezer. They turned yellow. Gotta keep those SpongeBob ice cubes somewhere, you know?
Having that much rotting food on the premises is as unhygienic as you can get, and would be worthy, even just sitting in their boxes, of a Class 2 violation. But surely Squidward knows better than to feed rotten patties to the customers though, right?
Oh, what a day. What's next, a zombie invasion?
Mr. Krabs, open up! We're being attacked by a bunch of zombies that look like me!
Go away, please. I'm busy.
Please, you don't understand. They're all splotchy and yellow with distended bellies.
Squidward hasn't just fed them to a customer, he's fed them to every customer.
Oh, I ate this yellow Krabby Patty and now I feel sick.
Krabby Patty?
And it seems Krabs has picked the wrong day to serve them rotten food.
Mr. Krabs, what have you done? You poisoned all these people!
No, but I can explain. What the?
Tell it to the judge, Krabs.
Krabs poisons 8 customers with his rotten patties, which is an easy Class 1 health violation. This would not only get the Krusty Krab shut down forever, but Krabs would most likely lose his vending license as well. Oh, as well as the $1,196,450 in fines he'd have to fork out for. It just goes to show it never pays to be cheap. It's not just customers who are in the line of fire when it comes to the Krusty Krabs' shady business practices, because in Cuddle-E Hugs, it's actually SpongeBob who's on the end of an illness thanks to the state of the restaurant. He and Squidward have been given the job of cleaning the place, and it's gotten seriously out of hand.
Look at all this garbage those animals left behind.
One man's garbage.
The sheer amount of trash there is crazy, just sitting there by the tables. That would most likely be an upper class 3 violation, as it may lead to contaminated food. But due to the optics and how serious it could get, the Krusty Krab would be fined. But forget about what's on the floor for now. Let's see what's under the tables.
So much gum!
Aside from that literally being my absolute worst nightmare, this is a less severe Class 3, but man, having your tables coated in someone else's gum is beyond gross. Imagine a customer accidentally putting their fin under the table while eating. I'm shuddering thinking about it. But while cleaning up, the fair pair find a seriously rotten Krabby Patty, and SpongeBob doesn't want to just throw it away.
You can't throw out a Krabby Patty. That is wrong.
This one is rotten.
No Krabby Patty can ever be rotten.
You know where this is going. Okay, so having a Krabby Patty that rotten and allowing your employees to eat it wouldn't add crabs in some serious hot water. SpongeBob becomes fairly ill after eating it, so ill that he starts hallucinating.
What are you?
Your best friend, Cuddle E Hugs.
But his hallucinations aren't as cute as they seem. Cuddle E Hugs wants SpongeBob to go back to the Krusty Krab and serve up the rest of that rotting patty so more people can hallucinate him into existence, and of course he listens.
Excellent, SpongeBob.
That would be a cross-contamination nightmare, especially as he's preparing those stinking things in the same kitchen he'll prepare the rest of the good patties. Easily another Class 2 violation right there, but like I said, he's not here to eat them himself.
See you, Patrick. Cuddly hug.
Yeah, never mind seeing Cuddle E Hugs. If I ate that rancid thing, I'd be seeing Jesus. Getting this many customers that sick is going to cost the restaurant a lot of money, sliding the violation from Class 2 to Class 1, so that rotten rodent has racked up 5 violations that come out to a staggering $1,735,650. Never mind hamsters. Mr. Krabs is going to be having kittens.
After inspecting every nook and cranny in the Krusty Krab, the restaurant would be on the receiving end of 32 FDA violations for a final score of 72. That's without mentioning the insane $6,463,580 worth of fines, which is over 15 times what the restaurant makes in a year.
Handling some poorly prepared food is hardly evil though, is it? Which is more than can be said for some characters out there, like the one on your screen right about now. So give that a click to see what they're all about. Thanks for watching.